Alrighty then. Okay, so last week we talked about tuning. All right, so I presume everyone is tuned. You've either used your your headstock, the clip-on tuner. All right. Oh, of course my tuner doesn't want to come on. Okay, but anyways, so you've got it so that it thinks your uke is in tune. My uke seems to be. Everything's turning green when I click the strings. Okay, but with the clip-on tuners, be aware that sometimes the tuner will have multiple settings. You might have to click through a couple times to enable the ukulele tuning. All right. If you get yourself into a chromatic tuning or tuning for like a violin, for example, you may not get the reaction that you expect from the interface of it because it's listening for different frequencies. And so you want it to be thinking about G, C, E, and A. And remember what we said about that? My dog has fleas. All right, good. Okay, review of hand position. Arms should be coming up over here. It's reasonable to take your hand underneath here to help support. But in general, if you can, you hold your uke reasonably in close to you, all right? But if you need to bring an arm in to support, or if you have a strap, that's pretty typical too. Right? Bring an arm over this part of the body and have yourself positioned so that your thumb is approximately this position. All right? This, for most ukuleles, this would be the nicest sound. But I said, didn't we talk last week? Sort of say, experiment. Feel free to experiment. Find out where your uke's sweet spot is. Right? For this one, and the one Melanie has, this is pretty much the sweet spot. Okay, for stroking the strings, for causing vibration in the strings. For left hand, just a quick review. That invisible line going down the back of the neck, that's where your thumb should be trying to ride that line. All right, and the benefit of having your thumb riding that line down the back of the neck is it creates more of a hinge for your fingers, so that your fingers can come over around and press more directly with the tip of the finger. All right, we don't really want you to be doing too much of this because it causes you to mute adjacent strings. You want to be applying pressure directly on the string at the fret location it's needed at and not getting in the way of other strings. All right? If you have a soprano uke, the smallest, if you have big hands, you may not have that much space. So you want to be careful. You want to be applying pressure directly. And I found with the tenor and the baritone, the scale of the instrument is just a little bit bigger, and it is, and I don't have big hands, but it's like, it is a little bit easier to press. But if you have a soprano, just be aware that it's going to be pretty ruthless on where you press. So if you're pressing down and look at the tip of your finger, you should be seeing the ridge on the tip of your finger, not on the side or on the pad. Okay. So last week we did some basic chords. We played C chord. All right, so with our third finger, remember, let's do a little review. Thumb, this is the first finger, the left hand. First finger, the index finger. Middle finger, we call it finger 2. Ring finger, finger 3, finger 4. And the third finger, press down at the third fret. 1, 2, 3. Here's the third fret, okay, of the first string. The first string being the string that's farthest away from your chin. It's a little counterintuitive, but this is the first string. Here's the second string, here's the third string, here's the fourth string. So if we press C chord, third fret of the first string, there we go. That was it. All right. The F chord was another chord that we really liked, and it requires 2 fingers. We pressed, the first finger presses at the first fret of the third string. Oops, no, second string. And the second finger presses at the second fret of the fourth string, like that. Just like that. And there we go. All right. And I'm going to turn off my tuner because it's kind of bothering me. Let's see. I heard a little bit of buzz when I played that. Ooh, a little bit of buzz. So the idea, don't forget, that we want to practice how hard do we need to press the strings, right? And so we only want to press hard enough so that the string makes contact with the fret wire. But not harder than that, all right? Just hard enough. If you're getting buzzes or thuds, means you're not pressing down hard enough. And here, now we're pressing down and we're making contact and get a nice clear sound. But if you press too hard, it makes it go out of tune and it hurts your finger. All right, it gives you a big ridge on the end of your finger. Don't do that. Okay. So here's F chord. All right. So be aware of not contacting other strings. There you go. And then the next chord we learned was the G7th chord. It's a pretty basic one. Nice thing about G7 is that when we're playing F chord, we will take one finger off, keep your first finger in place, and then your second finger presses at the second fret of the third string, and your third finger presses at the second fret of the first string. All right. And if you need to give that third finger, that ring finger, just a little bit more space to get in, you can feel free to shift your hand a little bit, just a little bit. Remember, you got your thumb on the back of the neck, and so that hinge allows you to move your hand, all right? So loosen the wrist, and you can give yourself just a little more space to tuck it in right there at the second fret. And again, you're going to play all four strings. And now let's finish on the C again, and we're just going to take our third finger and finish at the C chord, okay? So there we go. Those are our most basic chords. Lots of uke songs based on just those three chords, all right? All right, next thing, I think we will, while we're talking chords, why don't we do some more chords, all right? So some more basic chords. I think today we'll add not G7th, but G, all right? And you will know that you are making good progress on your uke learning when you can move between G7 and G, because it's one of those ones that requires a wholesale finger change, okay, finger position change. And when you can move between G7 and G with your eyes closed, you know that you're making excellent progress. All right, because that's about the hardest. That's for a lot of folks, that's the hardest. That's going to be the hardest chord fingering change that you will see. Okay, and so G, we'll learn G. I think we'll touch on D. We might have touched a little bit on D last time, but we'll look at D. We'll look at A minor. And we'll look at E minor today. And then we'll play a couple songs that exercise some of those chords, right? I don't know we'll always go and do as many chords, but sort of with that first group of 7 or 8 chords, it sets you up to play nearly everything in the uke repertoire, really. Okay, there's going to be some other things you can do, but it really gives you a good grounding. Okay, so G. All right, so remember G7th. G7th, we were pressing first finger. First finger goes at the first fret of the second string. Second finger, second fret of the third string. Third finger, third fret of the first string. All right, kind of makes a triangle, right? There we go. Now the G chord, if you were to put a mirror up at the second fret, the G chord is what the G7th chord would see if it was looking in a mirror. I think that's it. I think that's right. Okay, here we go. So it's going to look like this. All right. So we're going to take our first finger. First finger goes at the second fret of the third string. And our second finger goes at the second fret of the first string. All right, here we go. And then our ring finger, third finger, goes at the third fret of the third string. There we go. And the fourth string, this little string down here, that's a G string. That doesn't get fretted. And now we play all four. That's what it sounds like. So here's the tonal difference between the two chords. Here's G, and here's G7. All right? Yeah. All right, so there's G7. Very cool, all right? G7, the important note in the G7th chord, tonally, is this note right here, the first fret of the second string. That's an F. And that is what makes, that is kind of the signature note that your ear is listening for when you're listening for a G7th. That's the note right there. But G, you're just going to switch. And here we go. I'll bring up chord charts for these in a second. Let's just kind of work on trying to get our hands in the right place. So once again, G, first finger goes at the second fret of the third string, Your second finger goes at the second fret of the first string, and ring finger goes at the third fret of the second string. And there we go. All right? All right, so that's a tough one. A little bit easier one. A minor. A minor. So A minor is the relative minor chord to C major. C major was an easy one, only required one finger. Now, for A minor, we're just going to take our middle finger and we're going to press at the second fret of the fourth string. Ooh, there it is. There it is. A minor. Ladies and gentlemen, the A minor chord. Right there. That's all it takes. And if you take that finger off and just play all the strings, it's actually an A minor seventh that you already know. My dog has fleas. There we go. A minor, second finger at the second fret of the fourth string. It's a beauty. Very sad sounding. All right, very sad. All right, E minor. No, let's do D. Let's do D first. All right, so D, because D is a challenge. So Rick and Sarah and Melanie and I have a mutual friend who plays the D chord like this. Yes. Yeah. And it sounds real good when he does that. Actually, that sounds pretty good too. But you guys aren't allowed to do that until you've mastered doing it conventionally. And then you can be a bad boy or bad, sort of like be a rebel and use your thumb to play. Okay. Looks like Roberta is in the waiting room. I'm going to admit Roberta. Let's put everyone back on gallery view. I think Roberta's. Oh, there she is. Ciao, Roberta. Come stai? So, Roberta, we're going to mute you, if that makes sense. So I'm going to put you on mute. There you go. All right. So, Roberta, we just got started, but we chatted a little bit, and we've been working on some new chords. All right. Remember, just a quick recap. Last week we learned the C chord, we learned the F chord, and we learned the G7th chord. Now we're learning some new chords. We're learning the G major chord, A minor, and we're just learning the D chord now, and we're going to learn the E minor chord. And after we do that, then we're going to work on some strumming. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to put any questions so far. Put a hand, everything. I'm going pretty slow, but it's is this? You let me know if it's too slow. All right. So if it's too slow, then you can listen to the video afterwards and just run it at like 1/2 times speed, and then everything will be good. All right. Actually, the Zoom videos when they're recorded, I think they're recorded fast because I sound like the first one. It sounds like I'm inhaling helium or something, because I think they do record them fast. Okay, here we go. All right. So no more jokes about using your thumb to play the D chord, because the person who does this, my friend of mine, he's actually a master uke player, and just like he's allowed to do this. They have to play the D chord. What we want to do, it looks simple, but it's going to require some work to get a good sound out of it. What we want to do is we want to press down at the fourth, third, and second strings at the second fret. All right. So there's a few ways to do this. We can take these three fingers, first, second, third, and we can press with our first finger at the second fret of the fourth string. We take our middle finger, press down at the second fret of the third string, and we take our ring finger and press down at the second fret of the second string. And as you can see, it's a bit of a tight fit for all those fingers. And then you'd hope to leave your first string free to vibrate. If you can do that, then play all four strings. All right, that's a D chord. All right, and it sounds pretty good. It's high risk though of touching and muting and buzzing that first string, all right? So the way a lot of people do this is they'll take their first finger and they'll just press down with the whole finger. And they make what's called in acoustic guitar terminology, they'll make like a bar. All right, so this is like the foundation of a bar chord on your acoustic guitar. So they make a bar, and what they're doing is that they're making pressure with that finger. They're pressing down on at the second fret at the fourth string, third string, and second string, and really not putting any pressure at all on the first string if you're able to. All right, so you're trying to press down. You can use your middle finger on top to help press it down to give you a little bit more pressure. All right. Your thumb is going to be on the opposite side of that barred finger. And what you're doing is you're kind of creating a pincher, all right? A pincher, you're creating some force. And so use your thumb to help you press and hold. It's all create like you're clamping down on the neck. And so if you play it like this, then what you do is you play the fourth, third, and second strings. You play D, and that sounds nice and clear, and just don't, just mute. You can just mute the first string, and you generally won't hear that first string. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is you can take your pinky then, and sort of say, well, I want to hear that first string, so you can take your pinky and press down at the fifth fret. So you're pressing down first finger, taking your second finger and pressing down, and then taking your pinky and pressing down at the fifth fret, and it gives you that high D. It's a nice sounding chord, all right? It's pretty nice. And later on we'll talk about it. It's actually a movable chord. You can take that chord, you can move it all the way up the neck of your uke. Most people don't do it, right? Most people don't do it. Most ukuleles, so if you're playing at the second fret, that's a D. If you move it to the fourth fret, that's an E. The fifth fret, that's an F. But for a lot of people's ukes, it's hard work. And then above the fifth fret, a lot of ukuleles suffer from a little bit of intonation problems, and there's limited rewards to playing chords up here when you may have better sounding open string chords down lower on the neck. Okay. So anyways, that's a D. That might be the hardest chord that a lot of people will play, but I probably recommend it for most people. Play it just with your first finger and just hold down the low three strings. The fourth string, third string, second string. And don't worry about just don't play that the first string, or just with some practice, you can let off the pressure a little bit with your finger so that you're essentially muting that string. It's practice. All right? And I like playing the top one here. But I'm not saying that it's going to take a while. It requires some finger strength to get that pinky to press down without buzzing. Okay? That's a tough one. We've done some tough chords. What else are we going to do? Oh, E minor. We're going to do E minor. You may not find E minor to be too bad. E minor is a cool sounding chord. It's a beauty. The way we're going to play E minor, we're going to take three fingers. We're going to press with our first finger at the second fret of the first string. Second finger at the third fret of the second string. And your ring finger, third finger, at the fourth fret of the fourth fret of the third string. There you go, like that. And again, you're leaving that low G open. And let's play it. Ooh, it's a beauty. Okay. Yeah, it's a nice one. All right, so that's E minor. All right. So let's do a quick recap. So while you keep your fingers there, let's play E minor again. All right. Now let's go to A minor. Second finger at the second fret of the fourth string. And while we're there, why not play A minor 7? My dog has fleas. Don't have to do anything there. All right. Let's play G. Can you find G without? It's going to take some practice, some thinking through this one. So G chord, first finger at the second fret of the third string. All right. Second finger at the second fret of the first string, and then third finger at the third fret of the second string. And in subsequent weeks, we'll do some suspensions that allow you to play around with some of these chords and create folky, cool little rhythms, right? But anyways, this is G chord, and its cousin G7, which is first finger at the first fret of the second string. Second finger at the second fret of the third string. Third finger at the second fret of the first string. That's G7. Yeah, you can tell the difference in sound, right? So the G major chord, bright, happy sound. The seventh, that F on the second string gives a sort of that spice to it. All right, it's a bit of a spice. A minor, F, remember from our first class, F chord, C. Yeah, there we go. All right. So let me put us back into gallery mode. Good so far? Everyone okay? All right. I'm going to share. Let me put up the chord charts. Remember the chord chart we used before, and just do a quick review on. So you actually, when you look at your chord chart now, you'll see where the fingers all go. So let me connect to iCloud. Here's the cool. So D. There's D. And if I was doing the D chord, I'd have an X over the first string where you don't play that. But essentially, that is. Although I'll tell you something, if you are able to get all your fingers into those three frets where the dots are, then feel free to. Let me put my spotlight on. Feel free to play this string and leave it open. But most people, if they just use their first finger to press down, they're going to not play that first string. Okay, so that's D. All right, and let's see. We've played F. We played G. All right, so let's look at G. So here's where they've got like the open, and there's our G chord. Okay. This dot is the first finger pressing at the second fret of the third string. This dot is the second finger playing at the second fret of the first string. Yep. And then this finger is your third finger pressing at the third fret of the second string. And it's always odd to hear someone say, well, press at the first fret or at the second fret. And it's a bit of a misnomer. Essentially, when we say play at the second fret, it means place your fingers in the space that is just before the second fret. All right. So it's almost actually easier to think of a fret from a fingering perspective as being the space in between the frets. So this would be like the first fret space. This is the second fret space. This is the third fret space. Whereas these actually are the physical wires that we call frets. Okay. And let's see. There's the A minor. All right, A minor. With a nice form here. Isn't it strange how some of they have open and they use open and sometimes they don't? But there's A minor, and here, there's E minor. I love the E minor. It's just it's like your fingers are forming a line. All right. And it's a nice sounding chord. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let me do one thing on E minor. So this finger here is your first finger pressing at the second fret of the first string. This second finger pressing at the third fret of the second string. And this is the third finger pressing at the fourth fret of the third string. And this is open. And there you go. All right. Cool, cool, cool. So why don't we try a song that uses some of those chords? Maybe we'll play. What do we do? I think we may try. Yeah, let's do a Creedence Clearwater CCR song. We'll do Have You Ever Seen the Rain? It's a beautiful day in Seattle, so I don't know when next time we'll see the rain, but with social distancing, having some rain is better for social distancing, but this is, anyhow. Okay, let me bring up a chord, and let's see here. Have you ever seen the rain? There it is. So let's do. So once again, so like here's a nice arrangement, and let's point out a couple of things about the arrangement that are important. Okay, first of all, most arrangements for ukulele will include a strum pattern. The strum pattern is generally not required, but you know, if you're going to play the song with other people are going to try to follow the strum pattern, and it's good to try to play the strum pattern. But this tells you what you're going to do with your right hand, and I'll get into this in a little bit. But this is just pointing out what these numbers and up and down arrows are. It's a strum pattern. Here's the chords that are used in the song, and it's a very considerate way for the arranger of the song to tell you where those chords are voiced. All right, and for some arrangements, there may be certain reasons to have like a different C major chord, or G in a different place on the neck, or A minor in a different place on the neck, so that perhaps it's true to an original recording. But in most cases, these are the basic versions of these chords, and you can play them. Here's the lyrics, and then the chord changes are placed at the syllable of the song's words or lyrics where the chord changes. So we talked about this a little bit last week, where this doesn't help you much unless you actually already know the song. So for example, here it says, so I want to know, so change to G on the no. Have you ever seen the rain? So that's where the chords are changing. And then F, and I want to know, have you ever seen the rain coming down on a sunny day? All right. And so once you know the melody of the song, you kind of know how it goes. That's just telling you on what syllable of the lyric the chord is going to change, right? Okay. We're going to play, since we're going to focus this playing on not on strumming, but on your chords, let's keep the chords visible. All right. And there we go. So we're going to get started. And we're just, from a strumming pattern, we're just going to do our basic strum. You can either just do a downstroke with your thumb whenever the chord changes. So this would be like this. Someone told me long ago, there's a calm before the storm, I know. And so you can just do a downstroke every time the chord changes. Or if you want to keep rhythm, you can do a downstroke on every beat. So the beat for this one would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Someone told me long ago. All right, so we're just doing a downstroke with our thumb. All right, and so all you need to do is make sure you get that first placing of the chord, and just have your thumb so you're doing a downstroke every beat. All right, but it's absolutely fine to just change and do a downstroke whenever the chord changes. Okay. Okay. Any questions so far? Everyone feeling all right? So I'm going to actually stop sharing this just for a second. Put everyone back. Okay, good. Any questions? Anything that someone would like, you guys good? Want me to sort of go right into the chords? Looking at the chords, it's kind of like there is muscle memory involved in remembering sort of that E minor chord. Wait, where was that E minor chord, right? And so the first time you play one of these songs with other people, in a group like this, there's going to be people who have played before. Like Sarah's a pretty good uke player. Melanie knows chords too, right? So, and Rick, I don't know if I've ever heard, is this the first time you're playing the uke? Sweet. And Susan, I think this is the first time for you too, right? And Roberta, I think, well, you've got one of my ukes, so. So anyhow, so when you're playing one of these songs, it is completely acceptable. Like, well, first of all, it's good that you're muted because no one can hear you if you're mangling the chords as you're trying to go through them, right? No one's going to be hearing this. But what you can do is listen and say, you can say, hey, I've got the C chord. I've got the C chord nailed, and just play the C chord whenever it comes up, all right? And we'll play the song a couple times. The next time, try to add the F chord, all right? And then eventually, and then you go home and play. You can listen. I think this is the same key as the recordings for CCR on YouTube. And you can go on YouTube and listen to it. And you can play along, right? By the way, you might not know that on YouTube, you can speed up or slow down videos. So if you see, a recording of Have You Ever Seen the Rain, you go into settings on YouTube and you can slow it down to half speed or 3/4 speed. And the song slows down, but the pitch of the music and the singing stays the same. It's pretty cool. Once you've done this for a while, listen to a song at half speed is a little hard. It's a little hard to listen to. But when you're first learning a song, I do it all the time for learning stuff. So it's a super feature. So take advantage of it. Okay, let's go back to this song, and we'll play it, and then we're going to work on strumming. And have you ever seen Lorraine? All right, so we're gonna go, and I'm just gonna do go slow. All right, starting on C. Okay, here we go. Someone told me long ago, there's a calm before the storm. Now we're gonna go to G. I know, and it's been coming for some time. That's where we move to C. Stay on C. When it's over, so they say, it'll rain a sunny day. Now we're go to G. I know, shining down like water. Stay on C. Now we're going to go to F for the chorus. And I want to know, there's G. Have you ever, there's C, E minor, seen the rain? F. And I want to know, have you ever seen the rain? So let's do that again. C, have you ever, there's C, then E minor on seen, and then A minor on rain, and then F. Coming down on a sunny day. 2, 3, 4. Let's do the first verse again. Someone told me long ago, there's a calm before the storm. I know. Some of these lyrics, this song is up pretty high on my register. And it's been coming for some time. We're on C right now. Stay on C. When it's over, so they say. Stay on C. It'll rain a sunny day. Now we're going to G. I know, shining down like water. And if I was going to redo the song, rearrange the song, I'd put a C7 after water. Okay, now the chorus is coming up. I'm going to go to F. And I want to know, have you ever seen the rain? A minor. Now back to F. And I want to know, have you ever seen the rain? Coming down on a sunny day. All right. Now, something that's kind of interesting is that for a lot of songs on the ukulele, if playing G is really hard for you initially, a lot of these songs you can substitute G7 and it'll work. In this song, it actually works really well. You can play G7, especially since going from F to G7 is pretty straightforward. So we could do the chorus and just substitute G7 for G, and it should work not too bad. It sound like this. And I want to know, have you ever seen the rain? A minor. And I want to know, have you ever seen the rain? Coming down on sunny day. So in that case, G7 sounds really beautiful. It actually sounds really great. And it may actually be the right way to play this song. There are going to be some songs, though, where it really calls out for the G major versus G7. But in this song, it actually sounds quite nice. All right. So there we go. Yeah. So a lot of times, supplementing G7 because it's not hard. Well, it's relatively easy. It feels satisfying to go from F to G7 because really all you're doing is you've got one when you're playing F, you have that first finger anchored already, and to play G7, you're just kind of lifting those two fingers and you're dropping them down on either side of your first finger. So it kind of feels satisfying. And when you're playing in the key of C, we can do some suspensions. And maybe next week we'll talk about some suspensions that sort of like allow you to create some transitions between chords when you're strumming. It sounds really beautiful. Okay, so that was that one. Now we're going to do let's talk about strumming. So all we've done in terms of our strumming, there we go. All we've done with our strumming has been the downstroke. All right, and we start doing our downstroke like this because on every uke, you're likely to get a nice tone. All right, if you're doing downstroke with all your fingers, and it's a good way to train you that what we want to do with our thumb or any sort of strumming is to visualize the strings as if they are waves on the ocean, and your thumb or whatever you're using for picking, whether it's a flat pick or the rest of your hand or your thumb, you want to be riding over those waves, right? You want to ride over those waves. You don't want to be crashing through the waves, right? You want to brush the strings and make sure that every string is vibrating, okay? If you're doing that, even the most modest of ukes will sing with its characteristic ukulele voice, right? Okay, but there's many ways to do it. So you've learned one technique, right? Another technique is, well, actually, before we do it, let's do a quick release of tension in our fingers, all right? So remember, we should have done this when we started, but going halfway through, not too bad. Let's take our thumb, meet our first finger, stretch. Second finger, stretch. Third finger, stretch. Fourth finger, stretch. Come back down. Fourth finger, stretch. Third finger, stretch. Second finger, stretch. First finger, stretch. Right? And let's get all the tension out of our wrist. All the tension out of our wrist. Yeah. Floppy, you gotta have floppy hands, all right? Floppy hands on the left hand, so you're creating that hinge with your wrist, all right? So allowing your hand to move back and forth easily, no locking of wrist with hand. And the right hand, gotta have lots of flex to be strumming. Okay, this is gonna be important for just a second. So one strum we do, we've done downstroke with our thumb. Now we're going to do a brush. We call it brush strum, brush. And so we're going to take our fingernails, 4 fingers, and we're going to bring all those in contact with the strings. And we're going to start with the string that's closest to our chin, the 4th string, and make contact with all the strings. We're going to brush down, brush, 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 brush. And you can't have no locked wrist here. What I want to see is follow through. In fact, you should feel as if you can see the top of your hand following through from your strum. All right? Follow through is important for hitting a baseball. Follow through with the baseball bat. Slapping a hockey puck. Kicking a soccer ball. It's important for strumming too. All right? What it does is it ensures transfer of energy from your fingers into the strings so that all the strings are vibrating evenly. All right? You want to transfer energy consistently and evenly across all the strings. Right? Uke is a very small instrument. You lose vibration on one string, suddenly your voice is down by 25%. If we want We want to follow through. You want to hold your uke accountable for its best sound. You want to brush the strings, right? I like to, for my kid students, I like to call this the beetle strum. This is sort of strum like you're on the beach, big beetle lands on your uke while you're trying to play. Oh man, this is the problem. So you want the beetle to be off your uke, but you don't want to harm the beetle. You just want to encourage it to fly elsewhere down the beach. Just want to go. All right. No harm comes to the beetle, and you impart a beautiful vibration into the instrument. Okay, that's what, there's the brush strum, and so you can use the brush strum everywhere you would have used your thumb. Okay? Pretty common strum. And you can tell it's a little bit of a brighter tone than when you're using your thumb, right? Using your thumb, very mellow, just using kind of like the fleshy part of your thumb to impart vibration. Here it's like you're using 4 picks. So it's a brighter sound. Okay? Alright. The next strum we want to do just uses one finger. Alright? Your finger has 2 sides. It has the fingernail side, which is the bright side, and it has the other side, which is, well, just your finger. Okay. For downstrokes, we are going to brush across the strings with our first finger. We're going to take that nail part, and we're going to brush down across. No strumming across. I want straight, perpendicular to the body of your guitar, of your uke. Right? So down, these are downstrokes, follow through. Some people hold their fist in a clench, some people hold their fist hand open. I usually have my hand open. So fingernails going across and follow through. I want to see the top of your hand on the follow through. Then on the upstroke, we're going to use our finger. And the same thing, this time we're going to start with string 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to brush up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And we can get faster. We can just do downstrokes, all downstrokes with this. We'll just let's create a C chord, down, down, following through. All right. Is there any tension in your wrist? Should be no tension in your wrist. Are you making contact with all 4 strings? Even contact? Okay, sounds good. All right. So there's just downstrokes. Now, when you're watching someone play the uke, it may look like they're sort of hitting the strings a lot. In this case, I'm pressing on the strings on the downstroke and then moving my hand back up in preparation for the next downstroke. Okay? Downstroke, repositioning my hand to get ready for the next downstroke. Down, reposition my hand to get ready for the next downstroke. And you want to do this in time with the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this gets challenging. What you want to do is you want to practice this until it becomes almost automatic or almost mechanical. All right? Think of your strumming hand almost like being a machine. It becomes automatic. All right? And this machine feeds on chords. All right? So you're going to want to now start thinking about moving your left hand. So your left hand is in a new chord position in time to be consumed by your right hand strumming machine. All right? If you move at the wrong time, what you're going to find is that you're going to be muting strings or making unusual sounds. Right? And sometimes that might not be a bad thing. All right? But for playing chords, your C chord, and if you want to move to F, you're going to have to get there before your right hand strumming machine is in place. Right? The strumming machine, your right hand should just be automatic, and it's just be in time with the beat. And then your responsibility to get that left hand songs. There's a small chord library that we've got here, and you need to do the practice. There's no easy ways out of just hard work and just practicing those chords, so that you don't have to think too hard about where they're going to be. All right. But I tell you, even so, I've been playing for a while, and I just love going from F to G7 just because, you know, I just love that little pivot on the first finger and how it just drops, and then I can suspend it. I can do all kinds of cool little things. So there's some chord changes that just feel really, really beautiful and you know, good. All right, so we've done downstrokes. Let's do upstrokes. So we do an upstroke. Let's do a simple strumming pattern. Would be what we call eighth notes, and we count eighth notes. If we have multiple eighth, actually, let me backtrack for a second. When we just are strumming 1, 2, 3, 4, those are what we call quarter notes. Okay, and there's 4 quarter notes in every measure of a piece of music, in every bar of a measure of a piece of music. We count them as 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. And it's just every time we clap, it's a downstroke, quarter note. Eighth notes, there are 2 eighth notes in every quarter note, and we count those as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So there's 2 in every beat. And so we can do this, and it's kind of hard to do, move your hands or do all those eighth notes. So we can do downstroke and catch the and of each beat on the upstroke. So we do in every beat, we do 2 motions, downstroke, upstroke. So let's do a relatively slow beat. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to be downstroke on your thumb, on your finger, and then upstroke on the fleshy part of your finger. Downstroke, upstroke. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Is there a rotation? Are you tense in your wrist? Don't be tense in your wrist. Are you following through still? Yeah. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now let's play G7 and 2 and 3 and 4 and F. G7. All right. Now let's go back to, let's see. Is everyone lost? Is everything good? Is that kind of like you getting basic ideas? All right, good. Show me a thumbs up or something. Rick, are you okay? All right, awesome. Okay, good. So why don't we play, have you ever seen the rain again? But this time using an eighth note strum. So we call this an eighth note strum. And I'll bring the music up one more time. Have you ever seen the rain? Okay, so now let's take a look at, here's the strumming pattern. And the strumming pattern here is not an eighth note strum. This is what we call an island strum. If we had an eighth note strum, we'd have the down arrow on 1. We'd have an up arrow on the and of 1. So there'd be 1 and. There'd be a down arrow for 2. Oh, and an up arrow on 2 on the and of 2. There would be a down arrow on 3. There's your up arrow. And then, so in an eighth note strum, every beat would have a down and an up stroke. All right, where the number of the beat and the and are the 2 halves of the beat. Okay, played evenly. There's no syncopation. It's just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So the way this song is going to go with the eighth note strum, it's going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. All right, so let's get started on C. Someone told me long G. Shining down like water. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and F. And I wanna know, have you ever seen the ring? F. And I wanna know, have you ever seen the ring? 2 and 3 and 4 and coming down on a sunny day. Do the last line one more time. F. Coming down on a sunny day. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And then we finish. All right, there we go. Stop sharing. Cool. Let me. I'm gonna turn off the. So that's. I think that's probably enough uke knowledge for one session. Is that? I think so. It can be too much, right? So okay, but eventually, sort of like there's this basic chord library where I'll take people off mute now. By the way, let's unmute everybody. Here's how I did. Just like participants, unmute all. Except, I guess,
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Melanie is still muted, but maybe she wants to be muted. But anyhow, okay. So here we go. So once you get a certain knowledge of the chords, like I say, there are no easy paths to the muscle memory required to learn the chords. There are some shortcuts, like going from F to G7. That's a beauty. Everyone loves that. It just feels good. But otherwise, the rest of them are, you're gonna have to get your fingers into the right places with the right amount of pressure. And but there's with the chords we learned today. Next week we'll add a few others in. But you've kind of learned enough basics now where almost every song on Uke Society's archive is available to you. But now it's just having the fluency to sort of like say I can play. Okay, Susan, you gotta get going.
No.
Oh.
Sarah's got a question for you.
Oh, okay, Sarah.
Okay, so on the fingerings, can we change it? I learned instead of the first finger, second finger for my G, I just keep that second finger on there. That way I can go for my G7 and rotate my wrist to my G. Doing that pivot.
What does it look like?
Okay, so G7, 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
And then I keep that second finger on that third string on the second fret.
Okay.
And I rotate my hand down to the first finger on the bottom string and then lay mine down.
Well, if you learn like that, then keep it like that.
Okay, because it's just easier for me to make, because then I'm just going back and forth.
For me, playing the G chord, it's just like playing a D chord on the 6-string guitar.
Okay.
So maybe it's just my fingers just naturally just like that. Just it feels good.
Okay, I just want to make sure I was.
The thing is, though, you may find that you play that D like that on a 6-string because it makes.
Yeah.
It makes suspensions way easier, and I'm not sure how the way you fingered it. You can't do suspensions.
Yeah.
And so it'll limit your ability to sort of like show off at trailer gatherings.
Okay.
So otherwise, it's your choice. Stick with what you know, or enable yourself to be a show off. Okay. Yeah. So okay, but yeah, it's sort of like if you've already learned some. Sort of like overriding that muscle memory could be a challenge, right? So do what feels right.
Okay.
And for a lot of folks too, like I think our friend who plays the D like this, as we get older, our hands are getting a little sore. My hands are sore all the time, and so be kind to your hands and find ways to make the sounds on your uke that are kind on your joints. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. All right, guys. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sometimes I feel like I talk way too much when maybe we should have been playing more songs. But some of these basic we want to spend lots of time on the chords and. All right. Well, cool.
Why don't you play Have You Seen the Rain so we see how it's done?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Someone told me long ago, there's a calm before the storm. I know, and it's been coming for some time. When it's over, so they say, it'll rain a sunny day. I know, shining down like water. And I want to know, have you ever seen the rain? And I want to know, have you ever seen the rain? Coming down on a sunny day. Coming down on a sunny day. That's
Hey, that was good.
Wow.
right. So we can do it. There's kind of some cool little sort of like scale riffs that you can do that sound like the bass part on the original song, and
Hills.
yeah, and little fills and little suspensions. Like I said, like I said, Sarah, if you play G the way you're playing, you can't make that reach up to D here, and it's just like, so there's benefit in learning how to play the G chord a different way, right? All right. Okay, guys, see you next week.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank
Okay,
you.
bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
We'll
Go
let
practice.
Bye, Melanie.
Bye,
Bye,
Melanie.
everybody.